thank you for this nice introduction. So my name is Fredrik Ljunggren. I will be do the introduction here with my dear colleague Axel, who will do most of the talking. So very welcome again. So I think we can skip to the next slide. So as you can see here, I do work in sales. So Fredrik Ljunggren being part of Pointsharp since 2020. So that's a little bit more than 5 years now. Been in the industry since 35 years. So I hope to bring a little bit of knowledge from my side also on this topic. And I do sales and support this our sales region, locally in the Nordics, but also in the Baltics. And Axel, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Frederick and Julia, for the introduction. So my name is Axel. I'm solution engineer at Pointsharp. I'm responsible for all the commercial presentations we do have. I'm working on tenders, working on the product very closely. My experience is roughly more than 35 years with the SAP team, so with the SAP arena. So I learned a lot of different tools, different customers, and also worldwide customers. So I'm very interested to share my experience with you, and hopefully many questions will arise during the presentation. Thank you, and take care.
Perfect then. So let's get going with the agenda here. So we're already into the welcome section. So how we're going to structure this is looking into really the topic of today and focusing on the SAP landscape and what Pointsharp brings to our SAP customers. It's really about authorizations, and we'll walk you through a couple of different points here, ranging from the different challenges all the way to how to address these challenges, and also looking at a customer story. So as already mentioned, please use the Q&A possibility during the webinar here, and we will do our utmost to answer those questions in the end. So Axel, I think we'll head on. So super quick run through of Pointsharp. There might be some who have met us before or who is brand new to Pointsharp. So just a little bit on Pointsharp. We are an established cybersecurity company focusing on Europe, and we have been around since the early 2000s, established in 2005. And as you can see, we are the blue dot here is that we are headquartered in Sweden, in Stockholm, but we have a couple of different sales offices and colleagues around Europe. So you can find us also in some other countries, being Denmark, Netherlands, and in Germany, close to SAP, of course, and also in Switzerland. So we provide different kinds of solutions, software, so that could be installed on your premises, so to say. We also provide software as a service solutions. And being in the industry for a little bit more than 20 years. So if you take the next slide, you can see that we offer solutions not only within SAP, we do offer solutions in other areas also outside of SAP, within the identity and governance and administration area, IGA, and add access management to that mix, and also secure information exchange. That is more about how to send and receive information in a secure manner. Access management is a little bit more about authentication, and we do provide these kinds of functionalities in the traditional, so to say, IT landscape also, because usually there are solutions that is also outside of SAP. This is the focus for today's session, but I also want to emphasize that we work with the colleagues at your company, perhaps that is doing the traditional IT outside of SAP also. But today's topic, identity governance and administration, is the focus, and authorizations will be mentioned a few times here. So let's head into to the topic of today. Axel, I'll bring it to you.
Yeah, Frederick, thank you very much for the introduction of Pointsharp. So authorizations in SAP, it's a long, long story and a long way. So I just want to start a little bit up to the 80s, last century. So we start a CO-based role sharing authorizations according to functional areas such as FI, MM, SD, CO, and whatever. So the benefits for this one, separation of tasks. So the principle of need to know was implemented and to reduce the authorization risks. So we have at least authorization roles, authorizations, profiles, user assignments, and during this year, so we find a lot of changes inside the SAP system. New models will arise, different techniques, and the basic team will arise also and will be implemented. But what is still remaining, the authorizations without any substantial changes. So we have at least some changes inside the early 90s. So we just introduced the PFCG, the profile generator, within the first release of SAP R3 release for 4.xx. And that was a point, a dramatical change. That is this one. We got some new informations like organization structure, like position, cost center, booking area, and all this stuff around. So we get additional information so that we can deliver more points to a authorization to a structure of a user. We see different other things are coming up during this area. So we see the development 10 years ago. So we now in 2015, 2018, 14 up to 2015, the first developments through SAP S/4HANA. So we just see more information regarding these issues. A different layer or different layers were added to the authorizations. We are just taking into account the things like or data services with the object s underscore service, and we have at least Fiori tiles and Fiori groups at this point to get a more front end experience for the end user. Meanwhile, the governance and the compliance impetus was getting bigger. So legal constraints are giving more information, are giving more pressure on the SAP authorizations. We have to check all the things like segregation of duty, need to know, need to work will be implemented. And all these requirements for SOX or for GDPR are implemented very carefully and seriously, and just bring up the SAP administrators for authorizations and users and roles, bringing up to more pressure. So we jump a little bit in this area. So we have different challenges to follow up and to see inside this area. During this long decade, so we started in 1980s with authorizations, with profiles, and now we have roles and users. We have an uncontrolled growth of roles. I just can experience many of those companies I visited during my long career inside this SAP authorizations. Um, they have at least thousands of users, more than 5,000 up to 10,000 roles, standard transactions, whatever. And this concept is not quite clear inside the organization. It's not transparent. It's not well documented. The exceptions, okay, be honest, exceptions maybe occur in the market, but it's my experience that's always a different and difficult business to make all this information transparent and clear and legal to these operations. We see at least many SUD conflicts inside the given roles and given users. So a user has different activities inside this area, and he will do different things, which is harming the SAP system or harming also harming the company. And we see that the IT team is a little bit fatigued for audits and for revision. Another point I just mentioned a little bit earlier, so this compliance issue bring more stress, bring more pressure to this organization teams to make sure that they are just um, going ahead with the legal constraints they do have in each company and also in each country. So we are just looking for international companies. They have different legal constraints they have to follow, and that will bring different and new pressure to this to these teams. So we want to look very carefully at this area. So we have a role-based access controls. Now we get some more information about this attribute access control, so that we just add different things like time, location, task, IP address, whatever in this context, and that the user can see data or can't see or data at this different contexts we just have. This will bring, of course, the administration team into big pressure to make sure that every relevant information will be stored in a separate, in a different way. And the wish from all these management team from the C-level is that they have more audit capabilities like predefined dashboards, continuous compliance reporting, and also tamper-proof logs for getting access to this SAP system, who do what and when and why. And this gives also this point that a manual approach at this point is very difficult to manage and to steer. So therefore, we just set up inside Pointsharp a different initiative for this one to make sure that we just structure and clean up our given roles and authorizations, that we just creating a clear concept, and this one that we just centralize all these activities in one SAP system, in one way how to manage and how to audit all these activities inside the SAP system. And the next step is, of course, to synchronize automatically across the entire organization. So we have one central model, and from this central model, all these companies and different locations inherit all this information from a single role, from a composite role, whatever. So it's defined once inside the centralized system and will be delivered and shared with other organizations, with other things in this area. So that's also the point where to start. Of course, it's very difficult. So when you just sit in front of your authorization and in front of your PFCG and your SU01 for this user management, and make sure what is very difficult, what is difficult to my situation, where do I have my SUD conflicts, my segregation of duty conflicts, what is really critical to this system. And therefore we start at this point, we just create rule sets for this one to make sure that we have defining all the critical transactions, defining SUD conflicts for each organization, and then we can harmonize the given role set within our quick checks to make sure that we just follow these guidelines, follow this rule set, and we see how many users are affected by this critical transaction, how many things are just within this SUD conflicts across one organization or more than one organization. And within this information, we can analyze the complete SAP system for roles, composite roles, transactions, and authorizations in this area. We are just using the standard SAP transaction for tracing this information. We are just using ST01, ST03. This also this traces for this authorization. And we just make sure that we combine all this information with different subsets, and we merge it with our rule set. And afterwards, we have a result which coming out directly and very concrete to your SAP system, to your SAP users. So the conflicts we are just showing this one. And just can deliver a result package presentation at this point with finally leads to an action plan in this final presentation. These roles are not a given standard, so we're just able to add your specific logic to our rule set and to this shows and these expectations, and also doing some accelerants at this point, that we are able to manage the complete situation you will have at your fingertips, and that we just deliver a result which reflects the concrete situation in your SAP system. So how we do this, as I mentioned, so we just start with with a complete interview at this point. We just present our way how to steer, how to manage, and how to work with in this future small, very small project at least. We see a little bit later. So we're starting all the trace analysis, and even if we have the possibility that a company has already many traces delivered for more than 3, 4, up to 6 months or whatever, in this period, we are able to analyze all these traces inside our data lab. We're just working with artificial intelligence also, that we can create a specific role model for each business user, like for this finance user, a role model, complete role model for this sales and distribution, materials management, and all the stuff around. We are delivering a complete concept directly out of the box from this, out of these traces, and will be checked against our rule set. So we receive a new concept at this one, which has been standardized, harmonized, and really SUD conflict free at this point. And then you can start your own project as a withdrawal or a hard cut, that you just remove all the unused transactions inside a role, for example, without any activity at user's point. So that's a small, let me say, result from a project which coming up. So you see the big one, the reduce the roles, the left side. So we just reduce the number of used roles at this point very dramatically. We see some figures a little bit later. We are just reduce the number of composite roles. We just reduce the authorizations. That gives us the possibility to improve the security. Another one, save cost, of course, but on the other hand, we save time at administrative level, that we are able to make sure that the time is very short to make sure to adopt new activities, to change a person from one organization to another organization. So we see very clearly the totally at the bottom line, the total results at this area. So the benefits at this point, you will have at least, so we just created transparent, clear, new authorization concept. So we just take care also the SAD conflicts, and take also care this critical transaction, and this rule set will be delivered. You can check it and also improve it for your own business activities. So what we see at this point is a concrete reduction of over authorizations and audit conflicts. So we just create SUD conflict-free roles for each organization, for each, let me say, module you will have, or business role you will have. So just make sure that you have a clear concept at this point. You can run very carefully at this one. Another point will be a step in the future for saving license costs. You know that when you just move from the old environment ECC now to S/4HANA, you have to adopt a new SAP user license concept, and also sign a new contract. And this contract has the situation that you have to adopt. It will be just counting on given authorizations to a user. So that will be a very difficult situation, that you will jump into a concrete cost failure at this point. So before we just move to this to S/4HANA, we just emphasize you to make sure that role reduction and authorization reduction will start within our quick checks that you are able to save license costs. We see a little bit later the figures just for customer experience at this point. So within our quick check, we have a minimal installation effort, just only a small transfer will be implemented. So we just start the SAP standard transactions, collecting all the data, and then we move data from your database into a specific format. We'll just adopt this format in our labs and work very closely with our development labs for this concept, for the new way, and for the reduction emphasis at this point. You will get afterwards in this presentation. Afterwards, you can deinstall the complete SAP system, the Pointsharp system, directly from your system without any restrictions. At least the major point is you will get a complete measurement, a complete presentation, which shows you the number of transactions which are critical, the number of SUD conflicts you have, also according to the existing and given SAP users. And you can manage very carefully on this kind of information, step by step, department by department, not as a big bang, so you can work very closely in very defined project steps and small project steps that you are able to make sure that the business will run properly and fine without any assumptions. So that's a customer example at this one. You see at least the number of 70,000 roles, a little bit less than just reducing all the steps. So we just have a period from 3rd of July to 7th of April next year or coming year. So we reduce the number of users, of course, reduce the number of transactions. So we have at least 63% of roles haven't been deleted, have been removed directly. That will at least save a big amount of money for this negotiation you will have with SAP for transition from ECC to S/4HANA. So the figures are calling for itself and telling itself the story. So the composite roles has removed dramatically. So we have at least users, active users, still the small delay. So we have a tremendous effort setting up, and this Mr. Thorsten Kuhn, the solution architect for security monitoring at Andres and Hauser, the Swiss customer. So they're starting with 16,000 users at this point, and we are just to make sure that they have a very smooth and successful migration to HANA while using only one tool to make sure, run this quick check, see the results, work on these results, reduce and renew your authorization concept, and then start with your new authorization concept with your new roles and new activities in the new environment as a, let me say, greenfield approach at this point to make sure that you run properly and fine. So that's a point at this area. So a little bit of look. So just also some figures for this Andres and Houses. They have at least 18 productive systems, more than 17,500 managed identities with more than 200 accounts, 200,000 accounts, and of course, more than 30,000 roles across 150 clients at least. So the target was 95 degrees to only 2 or 3 business roles per person. That's this target we met, definitely. And we just reduced the number of roles as you have seen in the figures right before. Another customer had the same experience that just starting a concrete project, which has a little bit different major target. So they want to work on their authorization concept and want to simplify this authorization concept because of saving time, saving money at this point, and also getting more transparency and more clearness at this point in this area. So Mrs. Miners from Hansewasser, that's a wastewater disposal company inside Germany. So this authorization conflict has been uncovered and can now be resolved in a targeted manner. So that means we show definitely with our quick check, so the results are very clear and proper, and then you can decide on this way how to withdraw, how to remove all this unused and unknown and unnecessary activities and roles at a user base. So as a summary, so yes, of course, we have historical grown SAP systems. Some also people say that's not historical, is hysterical grown SAP systems within so many users which have no access to this or don't access the system, have at least roles inside their stomach. That's no need for further activities, just only use up to 5, 10, 15% at least for their given roles. That means even if a user has 100 roles, you just only use 15 of this existing roles. But when you move and migrate this user directly from ECC to S4HANA, you have to pay for this 100 transaction inside this user. So that's a tremendous cost increase you can avoid very clear and very seriously with our quick check from Pointsharp. So we have a clear way how to manage role, and to clarify these roles, we are just implementing and give you this role set at your fingertips for working critical transaction, SUD conflicts that you manage also, and add your own specific logic at this point to make sure that we have a clear, proper, and fine and cost saving and of course time saving activities for this role management. That will be started with quick check. We see a little bit later a timeline where we see how this project will work in the future. And that's the point. So we see the next steps. So we have at least the first meeting, the first interviews we install. We can, during this in parallel, just start the installation. We're just running this quick checks up from 4 up to 6 months, and we are collecting the trace data and start the analysis. After 5 working days after finishing the collection, we just start a presentation of the quick check results, and you can decide on your own how to work. You can put all this information into let me say, in a waste basket and say, okay, that's fine. But you can also put this information into discussion with your C management, with your C level, to make sure that your authorization concept will be fine, clear, and proper, and can also work with your external auditors or with your internal auditors to make sure that your authorization concept is clear, SUD conflict free, and of course from critical transaction and critical roles will be distressed at this point. So thank you. As mentioned, roughly 30 minutes at this point, just on time, just important. And now we are open for questions inside this area.
Yeah, thank you so much, Axel, for the run through and good insights on our quick checks. As you can see on the screen, there's an opportunity, of course, to interact with Pointsharp. So scanning the QR code or hitting our website, that is pointsharp.com for to reach out to us and interact for the next steps. So in general, I really hope that this was fruitful and gave you some first insights how we can help out from this with these authorization concepts and role reductions. We actually got a couple of questions. We are short on time, but let's see if we can answer 2 or 3 of them and see how to move on from there. So questions and answers. One that I can read out here is, let's see. We have one. That is, it's about, yes, here we have one. Can the tool identify redundant or excessive authorizations automatically? I think that goes in your direction, Axel. I believe
Yes.
I believe the tool can, but yeah.
Yes. Yes, we do so as I mentioned. Within this process of quick check, we implement our role subset, which is delivered to you, and it's accessible and changeable from your side. So you can add your own logic, but you see different redundant and of course critical transaction inside this point. It's showing automatically.
So perfect. Then we have a good answer on that one. Then we have the next one. What SOD rule sets are built in, or can we add our own? That's a good
So
one.
this rule set is, let me say, developed for more than 15, 20 years, roughly. It's improved by external and internal auditors. It's growing through customer experience. And of course, you're able to add your own specific logic. Even you have some, you can put it into this rule set and will start this automatical quick check directly within your rule set. Yes, we are able to open.
And then I guess this one might be a little bit tricky to answer shortly, but what audit and compliance reports are included out of the box?
Yeah, that's a whole bunch of reports we are just providing. I just haven't counted it before, but we see first we'll be showing critical transaction at user level, showing SUD conflicts, what kind of SUD conflicts at user level. So within a given priority from very serious up to minor. So we just list in all the high priorities at first and get also spider net diagrams. So when you just move this in this area and also together with the working close together with artificial intelligence, we give you some ideas how this new role set will be look like. And this gives you the impression there are different reports. I can't count them. Even if it's 10, 15, I don't know really.
Yeah, I guess, as you said, there has been like a built up intelligence around it. So that is something that we can look into a little bit closer, but there is a bunch at least. Then we have what SAP versions, ECC, S/4HANA, on-prem or cloud, are fully supported.
So all the activities on ECC, of course, the latest release, we are just working on HANA, not on the actual new one from September this year. So we're just working on the former release with 2024. And we are working on prem. Of course, we are just working in the private cloud, not in the public cloud. We're just looking, the next step will be in at least December this year, just to make sure that we have a connector to the private cloud, that we are at logic to this given SAP identity management inside the cloud.
But then we have one question: is deployment cloud or on-premise or hybrid?
As you like it, as you have it in your system, in your activity, we are just following your rules and following your given settings.
Yeah. And then we have can the solution, I guess, can it integrate with non-SAP systems? And that is AD, I'm not sure if that is Active Directory, perhaps.
Yes, I
HR
guess. Yeah.
and Cloud Apps.
Yes. That's the point where Pointsharp comes in and brings this expertise for also adding logic, adding identity management for non-SAP systems, also for non-SAP systems, that we are able to follow the complete concrete process of getting a person inside your organization. The complete mover, joiner, leaver process will be adopted at this area, so we can follow up starting from Active Directory into SAP and also non-SAP systems as an identity management system.
Yeah, so that is really something that we would be happy to support from the broader context, of course. So
Yep.
good. I think we are running close to deployment. Well, look there. Yeah. How often are SAP connector updates released?
Yeah, so we have at least inside our product a concrete release strategy, which is looking very carefully at the development SAP will provide us, and we are working on a quarterly base, yearly and half-yearly base that we get updates, informations. Even if you find a major change, we just deliver it as directly, and even if it's a mandatory change, but not so difficult and not so high prioritized, then we deliver it in a quarterly or in this yearly base.
Yeah, so then I think we have been through all these different questions.
Yep.
And we are a little bit over time, but
Sorry.
no. I think it was really good from in general perspective and from my personal perspective, really enjoyed it. And from Pointsharp, I think we would like to say thank you for the opportunity to interact with you all.